You made it to Poland. Talk to me about that.
I did. So I believe when we last spoke, I was in Ternopil, or I'd just gotten to Lviv and was trying to find options to get to the border. And right now it's just absolute chaos. Every sort of point of egress everywhere in the country's got lines in the sort of days waiting period. And they're prioritizing women and children, as they should. So Ukrainian men aren't allowed to leave. It's more women and children. So with the lines being really long, typically what happens is someone will drive up as far as they can, drop off their family, and then go back. So you'll see sort of Ukrainian men leaving their families and then sort of coming back. There's also an issue with foreigners here in the country. So if you don't have your proper sort of residency paperwork in order, that can also sort of strand you. And that happens with a lot of students here. So some students will come to Ukraine to study things. They won't have proper documentation for it, or there's something wrong. And they end up sort of hanging out at train stations and sort of stuck in this limbo. But it's sort of a situation that's kind of universal. All of the train stations are in absolute chaos. There's no scheduling. You can't buy a ticket. Nothing's on time. And all it would take is, a single strike to sort of disable that train line. But that would be a tremendous crisis. So right now it's mostly women and children on trains. Men can't even get on at all. And at the borders, you end up just seeing moms with kids, people bringing as much as they could, lots of pets, lots and lots of pets. But it's kind of chaos. So there's just a lot going on.
Talk to me about how, when you're seeing families being separated, where does that take you?
There's the pain in the separation, but I don't really see anger in it. The men see it as sort of their duty. They're heartbroken, obviously, and the kids can't understand it. So that's sort of what's really tough. The wives will kind of get it. It'll be painful, but the children just don't understand. Like, why daddy can't come with us? And where's daddy? Where's home? I want to go home. And they can't, because home might not exist. And the fathers and the men see it as their obligation and their duty to do it. And some of them, even to the protest of their wives, come back to really, really dangerous situations because, it's not just a point of pride, but it's the survival of their country. So there's a lot of tears, a lot of sadness, but there's not a lack of understanding or anger around it. The Ukrainian men here are really doing incredible things.
So now for your journey, how did you guys make it through? How did you guys end up in Poland?
I ended up through some sort of cosmic luck, connecting with a member who was connected to the Israeli consulate. The company that I work for, it's called Userway, is Israeli. So I ended up getting in touch with them, and they were moving Israeli people out of the country, so foreigners can leave. So what they essentially did was just put me down as Israeli, and then we were able to get out that way.
What's the best way I can say that without saying the names of the companies? I would just say
like IT provider, tech company.
So like you were like with a Israeli like tech company like group that was moving out kind of thing?
Well, it's kind of ballooned beyond that. I think it started just with him moving people within his organization out, and now it's sort of something that's become a humanitarian effort. And he's not just taking Israelis, but there was a Nigerian who was with us, and he was able to get across the border as well. Very obviously not Jewish, but the people at the borders, they're kind of like, okay, we understand the situation.
So you guys drove through?
No, again, how I said that you can kind of drive up and then drop people off, and then you walk the rest of the way. That's sort of what we did. So there was about a mile and a half walk that we made, just like carrying our stuff to the border.
Once you got to the border, and I'm assuming with your wife, you guys never separated, right?
Yeah. They made us separate at the border, which I was really nervous about, but it was very brief. So again, the children and mothers went first, and then the women, and then the men.
Just talk to me a little bit about like, it's been crazy. I know you're trying to take it in. Are you staying at a friend of a friend right now? Like, and like how, like where are you? What are you thinking of? Like, what are you guys like? Okay, what am I doing tomorrow? What am I doing the next? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so it's interesting to be in a social situation where normal lives are being continued. And I still have that sort of stress. I hear a plane and I kind of freak out. Like there's a cobblestone road outside. Someone was dragging a dumpster and it sounded like distant bombing, and it kind of unsettled me. But we came across at about 5 in the morning. The Polish people here have been absolutely incredible. I have to say, like, my heart's out to everyone in Poland. Just thank you so much. They have buses set up. They have people's homes are open. The Polish will sort of set a list of what they're looking for. So they're like, mom, up to 3 children, dogs okay. And so they'll just have this sort of profile set up at these refugee centers, and they'll just be like, if you match this, do you want to do this? And they'll set you up. So you'll come to the refugee center. It's about 6 kilometers away from the border. They've got, tea and hot food and cots and things, heaters, so you can kind of stay there for a bit. And then they've got buses moving people out to population centers where they have refugee checkpoints where they sort of try and get people settled somewhere.
Got it. So you're at someone's home who was open, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of in flux, just because there was no structure built around this before. Like, you never anticipate, like, okay, we might have to accept 2 million people over the course of a week. So it's just a ton of stuff happening. So they're hanging up signs on what to do as it's happening. So they're like kind of building the process as they're processing people. So it's a little chaotic and people are a little stressed, but I think that they calm down a lot once they get away from the border. But again, some of the kids don't understand. Obviously, the pets don't. But there's a greater sense of calm on the other side of the border.
Absolutely. So now you guys were able to find refuge. When you think of your trip and making it, and I know today's also your birthday. I mean, I saw your post. Kind of talk to me about some of the things you wrote in there, and just kind of the emotional wraparound and challenges you face throughout this.
Yeah, being an American kid of the 80s, you never think like, oh, one day I'm going to be a Ukrainian refugee. Just never would have crossed my mind. And I didn't even realize that it was my birthday until I believe I was talking to my mom, and she was like, wow, I can't believe you're doing this on your birthday. And I was like, oh my God, tomorrow is my birthday. Just never crossed my mind. But yeah, so celebrated my birthday, gaining refugee status, coming to Poland. But the thing that I'm really focused on is one, the amazing spirit of the Polish people, and two, just the incredible things that are happening in Ukraine.
Now, there was another thing you posted. Let's see. Okay, some of the stuff we didn't get to talk about. Well, one, things are intensifying in Ukraine. And Russia is not letting up. They're actually, taking violence to another level. And I don't know if you saw the video or pictures of all the. Talk to me about that. And I know we didn't get to, what do you feel should happen?
I believe that you mentioned the secrecy post, I think, that I made. Was that you that talked about that? Like the don't tell information.
Yep, that was going to be my next question. I just, yes, that too.
Okay, so I'll answer that second then. In terms of the escalation with Russia, I guess this is kind of expected. The Russian army sort of is at a standstill. They expected to sort of steamroll the Ukrainians, and it did not happen. They're sort of failing on a tremendous level. And instead of sort of reassessing the situation, maybe getting to negotiations or something like that, I think that we're going to see a really horrific escalation in violence. Because currently they're using a bit more conventional weaponry, really targeted bombing systems. They use Grad, which is Russian for hail, and it's basically just unaimed rockets fired into general areas, but they're not intensely powerful. But they're going to start using really scary stuff. So they've got bombs that sort of deplete oxygen in an area and create massive explosions. They've got incendiary bombs that are illegal. They've got cruise missiles that can be fired from miles and miles and miles away. And they're so fast that they're kind of hard to shoot down. And that's what people are really worried about. Like you mentioned, escalation in Kharkiv, they were hit with one of these missiles, a government building, reportedly killed 10 people. Well, I think one of them was a child. And this is, just a building in the center of a square. It's Europe's largest square, and it's called literally Freedom Square. And the footage is really sickening. And I think that we're going to see really bad stuff coming out of there soon.
People are talking about war crimes, being committed here. How do you feel about that? And do you agree?
Oh, yeah. These could absolutely be qualified as war crimes. You've got violence against a children's cancer center. A kindergarten was bombed. I think about 16 children have been killed. And these are obviously not children that are in battalions. They're not, working in factories or munitions areas. These are residential centers, and they are hiding. So these are people that are in bomb shelters that are being struck. And you'll see the footage that, these are obviously apartment blocks. These aren't factories. They're not airports. They're not munitions buildings. And this is intentional. They're trying to create fear. They really want to shake people, and they really want to break the resolve of the people. And it's not working. So I think that they're just going to escalate the violence.
Talk to me about the resilience of the Ukrainians. I know that was one thing that really was motivating and inspiring for you to see everyone still standing in solidarity, and you also put that in your post.
Yeah, I mean, just the stuff that these people do, it's really insane. But the pride that they have is commendable. One of my really good friends, he's a dentist. He's got a wife, and so he's like, I want to send my wife away from the front, and I'm going to the front. So, this is a man who's not well past draft age, but he's not 20. And I want to go to the front. I have medical knowledge. I will be useful. And you see this everywhere. I don't qualify exactly for military service, but they are passing out small arms inside the city center. So I'll be civilian resistance. You see elderly women making Molotov cocktails. You see children sitting next to their grandmothers weaving camouflage nets so that they can hide windows. You see people, filling sandbags with sand. People welding dragon's teeth to stop tanks, building forts. We drove through villages and things to get here because the highways were blocked. And everywhere you see people chipping in how they can, where they can, even in places where that they could likely just be like, oh, it's so far away, it'll never come here. And they're probably right, but they want to do something, and everyone's doing something. So that's just something that's just bewildering. There's not this sense of hopelessness. There's anger and resolve, and it's just incredible to see.
And I know you mentioned your post, we didn't say it again, but you were talking about, people being careful with what they put on social media, where they're going, and talk to me about that.
Yeah, so obviously Russia's been involved in sort of psyops, cyber warfare for a long time. Before the term fake news was a thing in Western media, they were deploying that against Ukraine, literally against Ukraine, when like the Maidan revolution happened. So that's sort of where the roots of where they really developed these strategies came from. They play both sides. They just want to stir up doubt. And then also they have people sort of infiltrating groups pretending to be other people. So I've had very strange friend requests from people when I was kind of desperate to get out of Ukraine. I posted like, hey, is anyone heading west from Kiev? I can pay. And I had someone who claimed to be a Scot with obviously not native English saying, hey, yeah, my wife is leaving. Why don't you meet us here in this place, not in Kiev, in a very suspicious location that's, that's awful close to sort of the lines of conflict. And this has happened several times. Oh, I've got a house near this train station. Why don't you come meet me here? People posting like, hey, does anyone see any troop movement from here and here? It's like, why would you need that information? So I posted something that just said, please be very careful what you share. Do not take pictures of the Ukrainian troops. That is very important. Do not take pictures of Ukrainian tanks, of Ukrainian block posts, of their staging sites. Do not take pictures of them at all. Do not share them because this information is used against them. On the other end, take every single picture of every Russian troop that you possibly can. That's something that they're really encouraging the civilian populations to do. If you can't attack it, you can film it and then send it to someone. So they're sort of tracking movements through really grassroots intelligence gathering. And that's sort of why I say, be careful what you share online and who you send things to, because there's bad faith players out there.
And I know you need to go, so just kind of a wrap up, your message to Ukrainians, and talk to me about resilience and coming back one day, and then your message to Russians and Russia.
Yeah, so I guess it's been further confirmed since we last spoke. The world is with Ukraine. You see these marches, these protests everywhere. I have never seen the world's governments so unified. All of the EU are together. The money, the aid, the support that's coming in. People everywhere posting, I'm in Spain. If Ukrainians are here, they can't come home, I have an extra bed. I'm in Tbilisi. I have an extra room. Ukrainians can come stay with me. This is so unified that it's just incredible. The Ukrainians have unified, and the whole world has unified behind them, and that's just so beautiful. And in terms of the Russians, to say to them, I do not hate them. I loathe their government, but I think that it is time for you to do something. I think that the Russian people need to wake up. They're really afraid of spending a night in jail. They're afraid of being followed in social media by these nefarious players I mentioned, but people are dying. Children are dying. Families are being ripped apart. And the only people that can stop this are Russians, because Putin will not stop. He's not a man who's going to back down. So it's going to take the Russian people taking back their country. And I hope that they have the resolve to do that.
And you and your wife are okay. You guys were not hurt. You guys are okay, right? So, were you? You guys are.
Oh no, just
mentally. I mean, obviously, emotionally. I know you've gone through trauma.
Yeah, no, just once the sort of adrenaline wears off, you're like, oh man, I should have done leg day a little bit better, because you go in and out of bomb shelters, up and down stairs all day, and you're carrying like everything on you. So, and you do this for days and days, it really wears on you. But yeah, no injuries, thank God.
So, as far as like, what is your goal, like plan for, like, is there anything that you plan, like, I want to do? I know you're on social media, you're posting things to help people that way. Is there anything as far as, what are you guys looking at? Or, I don't even know if you could think that far,
Well, we kind of literally just got in. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here. We checked into a hotel at about 5. So we left the refugee check-in point. We let the free rooms go to the moms and kids, and so we just bought our own room for the night. And we're just now sort of putting together what's happening and like watching Western news for the first time. And Nadia said, I want to go volunteer at the border because there are Ukrainians volunteering there, obviously. Most Polish people don't speak Ukrainian. So they need people to sort of be able to communicate with these groups, help calm them down, point out where they're going and provide this information. And I think we're also seeing that everywhere. You see people sort of setting up rallies and sort of extending awareness. And I think that any small amount is worth doing. Sharing information, wearing the little ribbon for Ukraine, any small act of support is increasing awareness, and the more awareness that there is around this, the more powerful it becomes.
Do you see yourself going home?
I really hope so. I really hope that my apartment remains standing and that we're able to finally move in. I hope that I get to go back to all the things that used to frustrate me so deeply. I think I'll find a special charm to it now. But it is my home. It's North Carolina is also my home. Got my family there. My childhood memories are there. The best barbecue in the world is there. But also in Ukraine, these are all my adult memories. So it's equally as home to me, and I would love to be able to go back. I would love for this to be resolved.
Is there any words you want to leave me with or anything? I know.
No, just as we said last time, when you meet a Ukrainian, you can tell them Slava Ukrainie, glory to Ukraine, and they should respond back Heroyam Slava. So that's a great way to let Ukrainians know that you know personally that you support them. So again, if you see a Ukrainian, support them. Slava Ukraini.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll be, keeping in touch. If you have any more pictures that you have taken, like from the border, the lines or anything like that, if you could message them to me. I don't know what you've taken.
Yeah, I think I've got a few.
Okay.
But actually, like as we were getting on the bus, I got a text that said, French intelligence agencies are reporting that they're going to bomb the humanitarian cordon between Lviv and Poland, which is exactly where I was going. And then air raid sirens started. So I'm sitting on a bus and I'm like, do I take this only chance to get out? Because, how often are you going to get with the Israeli consulate who's going to take you out of the country? So it's just like do or die. Do I trust this information enough to get off the bus, or do I jump? So we went for it. And the whole time I just had this panic attack. I didn't tell anyone else because I didn't want to upset anyone, but we made it, no issues. And otherwise an uneventful event that could have gone worse if that information was correct.
I don't know if anything was uneventful. This was like a 6-day trek, right? From you guys left your under the cellar, right? Was it on Thursday?
Yeah, it was a 6-day experience, but a 5-day trek because we stayed for a day.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, any pictures and videos you can send me would be great. And yeah, I will definitely be in touch. If there's anything else you want to share, just definitely message me. And I really appreciate you giving me this time. I really do.
All right, no problem. The picture I posted that's got the QR codes for refugees, that could be useful as well. So feel free to use that.
Okay. On your is that something is that where I would have to see the source?
It's on my Facebook, but like it's literally just like they give you flyers at the refugee points in various languages, like how to get assistance and things. And it's got the QR code.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you could just message all the pictures and videos to me, and then I'll add that to the video.
Right,
how old are you today?
37.
37. Wow.
Yeah, I feel 50 right now though.
I'm sure. All right, get some rest, and I hope you and your wife, continue to do well and so forth.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, and let me know if you need anything else.
Actually, I'm sorry, real quick question. Have you heard of anybody else who's over there in Ukraine? Like, do you, I know you mentioned your dentist.
Yeah, I've got pretty good amount of people over there, I suppose, that are still in Kiev.
Okay.
If you're looking to do an interview or something like that with them, I would have to find one that has sufficient English
No,
levels.
no, that's completely fine. I was just wondering if, like, I mean, I guess you kind of just mentioned, you already mentioned one that you knew was going to fight and so forth. Like, I think I'm probably going to use that part of it. But that was it. Okay. Well, again, thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, well, thanks, and let me know if there's anything else I can do.
Absolutely. Thank you.